Okay, so today I'm going to be sharing with you a very powerful but very simple technique to help you expand your ability to change your frequency so that you can actually enter into a completely different realm of dimension, success, happiness, health, whatever you want to use this for. So it's very simple how you can simply, with just a very slight amount of attention and effort, shift yourself to a place where you can actually expand your reality and step into something that is already yours. Okay? So, before we go any further, please hit the subscribe and the bell button. Also, watch this video all the way to the end, because when I get to the end of this video, I'm going to tell you where to go to watch the next video where I actually share with you the incredibly simple and powerful technique which you can use to reprogram yourself to jump into a completely different timeline. So we're going to be talking about timelines today and how you can empower yourself on levels that you haven't even thought of yet. Before I do that, I do want to say thank you to Grace Channeler. She has become one of the higher level subscribers at the thunderwizard.com website. You can go to thunderwizard.com. And if you are looking to support the channel, you can subscribe at the two highest levels, and I will credit you as a producer. And if you have a website, I'll be happy to mention you and your website at the beginning of our video. So let's get right into the video. All right, so here's what you need to understand about how this technique works. According to physics, this isn't coming from me. This might be already something that's been taught for thousands of years in spiritual traditions, but physics, like the highest, most recent understandings of physics, says that we live in a multi-dimensional universe. In fact, we live in a multiverse, that there are infinite numbers of universes going on at any one given time. You've probably heard this. So I use the word timelines. When you want to switch to a different reality, you switch to a different timeline. And so, since there are infinite numbers of timelines going on, there is a timeline where you are experiencing your ultimate, highest ideal self, where you are, in fact, experiencing the fulfillment of all of your potential. So, whatever you can imagine and beyond has to exist. There might be a universe where you're living on the street somewhere. There's also a universe where you're a king or a queen. There's a universe where you're, Tom Cruise. There is a universe where you are existing, where you are experiencing everything that you are destined for, that is truly unique and will give you personally the greatest happiness. I mean, maybe you might have a great life, being another Tom Cruise. You might have a great life as king of the world. But does that mean that you're experiencing your highest potential, your complete, total, utter potential? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, as you know, I have been sharing with you the changes that have come about. In fact, as I'm talking about what I want to create for myself, one of the first things I do is I come on here and I teach it to you. Now, I teach you things that I myself have currently experienced in my life. So if I've done it and I know that it works, I teach it to you. And then when I'm about to try things that I haven't tried before based on those principles, I share that with you and I say, watch what happens. Here's what I'm planning to do. Here's my prediction. And then you get to see whether or not I fulfilled it. And you can make that determination as well. From my perspective, these experiments have succeeded far beyond my wildest dreams. And so you've been hearing me talking about all the things that I want in my life. I want to live on the beach, someplace that's semi-tropical, someplace that has lots of nature, someplace that has good surf that's uncrowded, where I have just miles of empty beach. I want to be able to walk through the forest and enjoy the surf. I don't want it to be too hot, too cold. I want to be able to be around people who are of a higher vibration, who are more spiritually aware. I want to surf with people who are nice, not like some of the people I, had to surf around in Southern California. Clean water, all that good stuff. And I've been sharing with you all the things that I've experienced since I've gotten here. And I have also been sharing with you that there are things that have been missing in my fantasy. I have all of my fantasy except for maybe one thing. You can probably guess what that is. Well, that one thing has come into my life in the form of an amazing woman that I have been seeing quite regularly for uh, the recent past. And I, I won't get too deep into it, but trust me when I tell you that whatever it is that I thought I wanted, that was beyond my wildest dreams. It has far surpassed that to the point where I am having a hard time integrating it. It's so amazing, it's hard for me to integrate. And that is a good place to be, where your life is so amazing and the things in your life are so wonderful and so nourishing and so satisfying that in order for me to accept the enormity of what's being given to me and presented to me, I have to expand my ability to see it, experience it, and accept it. And so that's what I'm doing. And so the technique I'm sharing with you actually came from her. And so it was so amazing and so wonderful, I thought I would share it with you. So, first off, we got to talk about timelines. So we live in a universe where there are infinite number of timelines. And the truth of the matter is that you can instantly change to a different timeline. Like whatever it is that is your highest, most amazing, wonderful, beautiful, satisfying life, all of the things that you would want in your fantasy land. So if you haven't heard about how I do this, there are three worlds that we can live in. We can live in the real world. The real world is the world that my parents taught me to live in, which was life is hard, you have to work your ass off and then you die. It's a dangerous place. Yeah, if you want to do fun things, you can, but you're going to have to work your tail off and get a bunch of money. And when you have some money saved, maybe in your spare time, you can do that, but you have to be practical. Don't waste your time having fun all the time or being artistic or expressing yourself or in, dabbling in spirituality. You got to have a career and you got to have this and that's the real world. And that's where most people live. It's a very practical world. And then there is the world that I take people to, which I choose to live in. And I put effort into living in this world exclusively. And this world I call Fantasyland. And whenever anybody comes to me for a career consultation, you can go to neo.thunderwizard.com and the first tool there, click on that and then scroll to the bottom of the page if you'd like to have me give you a career consultation. And what happens in those career consultations is I take people to the fantasy world. And it takes me about an hour. And, so far, my experience is I've been able to help everybody who's come to me. I'm not going to make that promise to you. I'm going to say it's virtually guaranteed that if you give me an hour and you answer my questions honestly and you are open to understanding what it is you truly desire, I can help you find out what it is you really want. Whether or not you act on it, that's up to you. I can help with that as well, and that's why people choose to work with me on a regular basis, and that's the apprenticeship program, which is at thunderwizard.com. You can go to courses.thunderwizard.com and you can see that. Neo.thunderwizard.com, the fourth tool, will take you there as well. And what I do then is I help you do exactly what I'm going to share with you today, which is expand your ability to rise to what your true fantasy world is. And I'm here to tell you, I am not hyperbolizing, I am not exaggerating. If you go to your fantasy world and you tell yourself, okay, this is just an exercise, I don't really have to do this, but if I lived in a fantasy world where you didn't have to make money, you didn't have to meet anybody's expectations, you didn't have to live up to any social standard, you didn't have to do anything for anybody else, you only had to live in such a way where you were deliriously happy. If you could get all the guilt and all of the responsibility and all the practical blocks out of it, and you were to ask yourself, if I could do or be anything, even if it meant to be 100 feet tall and have 6 heads, what would I be doing that made me really happy? Whatever that is, that's what your soul wants to do. That's the reason you came here. So that's Fantasyland. So you have the real world, you have Fantasyland, and then you have a third world, and this is where most people end up, especially if they know the trick that when I tell you how to go to your fantasy land and that it's not real. It's a trick. I do this to myself all the time. I trick myself into believing anything. Because if I didn't, I would go, like everybody else, I would go to compromise land, which is right in between the real world and fantasy land. And in compromise land, people say, yeah, you know what, I need to do this more often and I should do that and that's fun. And, you know, if I had more money, if I won the lottery, well, I could do this job and I don't hate it. So, I mean, I could survive it. And then maybe on the weekends or twice a year, I could take a vacation. That's compromise land. Compromise land is just a suburb of the real world. So there's really only two worlds. There's the real world and Fantasyland. I live in Fantasyland. I'm not kidding. I live in my fantasy. I get up whenever I want. I live wherever I want. I do whatever I want. And the work that I do is work that I would do anyway. These videos I would do anyway. And most people put money into being able to, live their hobby. My hobby is my business. I make money doing it. I make enough money to do exactly what I want. And I barely work. That's a fantasy land. That's where I live. So I am here to tell you that if you keep doing that, if you keep living that way, you're going to continue to break barriers of your ability to believe what is possible for you. And eventually you're going to get to a place where even, for me, I hit a place. It was probably about a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago. You find out, there was a video, you hear me talking about it, maybe a little bit more than that, where I said that there was some things that I wanted in my life that were beyond reasonable, that they were not something that could have possibly been available to me. And I said, I am going to commit that that's what I'm going to get. This is how my life works. When I get to the place when I know what it is that I want, and I ask myself that question all the time, I'm constantly raising the bar on what it is I want in my life. And when I can honestly say, what I want is, I don't think about whether or not it's reasonable or possible. I focus on whether or not I want it. And once I can get honest and say, yeah, that is what I want, I always get it. It always comes to me, every time. This is no exception. And I wanted to find a partner who was unreasonably amazing, that could not possibly live in this universe. And I'm here to tell you that I have what I expected and even greater. I still have to expand myself to accept it. So I was telling her about it, and she gave me this really great technique, which I'm going to share with you. But I'm going to tell you what the technique does first, before I tell you what the very simple technique is. So again, go back to timelines. You live in a universe of infinite timelines, infinite universes. And in that, this is how I choose to look at it. In that universe, there is a timeline where it is the most pleasurable, the most happy, the most fulfilling timeline possible for your soul. There's something that is important to understand, and this is something that I have problems with a lot of what seems to me to be New Age teachings about manifestation, which is the the incomplete understanding about manifestation is that the universe is arbitrary, and it's not. And I've shared this example before, and I'll share it again. Let's just say somebody knows that they want more money, and so they say to themselves, I want a mansion and I want 3 Mercedes. Because somewhere along the line, they got the idea that having more money and more stuff was going to make them happy. I have no problem with money or stuff. So I'm not trying to denigrate that. But when somebody just simply says, I'm going to imagine that I have 3 Mercedes, and that's arbitrary. You're arbitrarily trying to throw things into your reality, thinking that they will make you happy. And maybe they won't. And the universe is not arbitrary. The universe is a direct construct of your soul, and your soul has very specific desires. And the way that you know you're doing what your soul wants is that it gives you joy when you think about it. Now, here's the thing. We also live with the karmic attachment. So we have two things going on. This is what the two main things in my experience that happen and is the purpose for incarnated life. First one is we come here to fulfill the desires of our soul. My soul wants to surf fun, beautiful waves in semi-tropical conditions and blah, 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 blah. That's what my soul wants. My soul also feels a strong compulsion to do this kind of work. Everything that you see here, all of my books and videos, courses.thunderwizard.com, all of my services, my soul has a desire to do those things in service. It makes me happy. I enjoy doing it. But on a personal note, purely just what gives me the greatest joy is I go out and surf, and it's my medicine. If I don't do it, I am not in the right mind frame. And that's the whole idea, is that when you are in alignment with your soul, all these things fall into place for you. That means the universe is not an arbitrary place. It's not if I have more cars or if I have a big house. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. That's not really what it's about. It's not that we're trying to fulfill some empty sort of nebulous hole within us. And that's what happens with a lot of people when it comes to manifestation. They just kind of want to, maybe if I had more of this, or maybe if I had that. It's coming from a place of fear and lack. It's coming from an assumption that the universe is not seeking to give you everything that you truly want. It also comes from an assumption that you don't have very specific desires, and your soul has very specific desires. Because listen, being incarnated as a human being is a big deal. And I mean that in the sense that it is incredibly sacred. It is a very special experience that not every entity gets to have. If you have the opportunity to become human, it means that you have been given a tremendous opportunity. And it means that the universe and all the beings in the universe have decided that you are a very special being. And so you get to live in this concentrated experience that we call human life. And so you come down here with these desires, and that's the whole point, is to fulfill those desires. You'll get a sense of joy, of bliss, when you first think about it. That's how you know what your soul wants to do. Then you have the karma to deal with. You have the challenges of having to make the choice between living for other people or living for your soul. And it sounds really easy, but it's not. Because what you're really doing is you're giving yourself a challenge to live from fearlessness or to live based on fear. If what you want is to be loved and respected, it sounds like a good idea, but it's still coming from a place of need. If you are an infinite being, if you are a celestial God living in a human body, you're not thinking about what other people think about you. Do they approve of you? Are you going to be loved? Are you going to be this? Are you going to be that? Am I going to have enough money? You don't think like that. You're an infinite God being walking around in human flesh. So you think about, I came here to do this, I came here to do that, and you do whatever you have to do to fulfill your desires. And that is Fantasyland. And in my experience, if you live fearlessly 100% in Fantasyland, then you get what you want. It doesn't mean you won't have challenges. You've watched my channel long enough, you know I've had my share of pretty deep challenges. But throughout all of that, I've never given up on living in Fantasyland. And in fact, those challenges, those losses have always driven me further towards having an even better, greater, more amazing experience on this planet. Okay? So, my new girlfriend, I'm going to use that word, gave me a very simple technique. And I'm going to share it with you in the next video. So this is Manifestation Mastery 38A. I want you to go to thunderwizard.com. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to that page, and on the right side of the page, you're going to find a Manifestation Mastery course subscription. You're going to subscribe to that. That's going to cost you $50 a month. And what you're going to get out of that is not only hearing these amazing techniques that instantly change your reality and give you the life that you've always wanted, but you also get access to all of the Master Shamanism course. And hey, look, if that's too much money for you, watch it for a month, and if you don't want to, you can unsubscribe after the first month. Okay, it's not a big deal. You're going to subscribe because it's important to you. And I'm only interested in helping people who are dead set committed to their highest evolution. If you're not, there are plenty of channels you can watch. I'm only interested in those elite souls who are here because they are here to evolve. And so if you want that, you're going to subscribe. So go to thunderwizard.com, subscribe on the Manifestation Mastery course, and watch video 38B, and I will share with you that extremely powerful and simple technique. Before I go, once again, I want to say thanks to Grace Chandler. She has subscribed at one of the 2 highest levels, and so therefore she's gotten a producer credit. And so go check out her website, gracechandler.com. All right. I will see you over at thunderwizard.com at video 38B of the Manifestation Mastery course.